Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. An almost dead heat exists between the two major political parties in the upcoming local government elections in Jamaica. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 16th March 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. There is a marginal difference between the governing Jamaica Labour Party and the opposition People's National Party following a recently commissioned Don Anderson poll in which 28.1% of the votes favoured the PNP and 27.9% favoured the JLP. Nicola Brown of CVM Live reports.
With the local government elections to be held no later than February 28th of next year, both major political parties are looking to put their machinery in place amid growing apathy, as recent polls suggest. Political commentator Kevin O'Brien Chang says the recent Don Anderson polls have revealed a balance for who will reign as government. In an interview with CVM Live, he says in preparing for the local government elections that was last held in 2016, there is need for more work to be done by both parties.
Both JLP and PNP have had their time at the wicket and have failed miserably. Keep it in bold, right? So if I am a voter, my main concern is I want to feel safe. I want my family to feel safe. Make me feel safe. Neither the PNP or JLP can do it. From the PNP, there's a adage in politics. People don't vote in people, they vote them out. So the PNP job is to get JLP voted out, right? Inflation is doing a good job for them. PNP has failed on crime too, but people are going to say, listen, this man failed, let's try this man again. The PNP problem, look at the situation now. They're both 50-50. But Andrew Holness is ahead of Mark Golding, right? So Mark Golding's job, okay, I need to raise my ratings up to my party's ratings.
The People's National Party says it's not surprised by the recent Don Anderson poll's result, which reflects tremendous gain by them on the Jamaica Labour Party and the possibility of returning to government. PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell is urging especially young adults to selectively choose the government who aims to provide solutions to their frustrations.
The younger persons seem to have been caught up in a fad the last time, just going along with green clocks and just, a slogan, no God or whatever, which has absolutely nothing to do with development. That does not speak to how we will fix the education system from early childhood right up to making tertiary and level education for accessible. It doesn't speak to how we make housing affordable.
The polls reveal a slender margin, the PNP at 28.1% to the JLP 27.9%. Nicola Brown for CVM Live.
Inter-Caribbean Airways made its inaugural flight to St. Kitts and Nevis out of Barbados to start a 3 times per week scheduled service into the Robert L. Bradshaw International Airport. According to tourism officials, the new service is significant for the intra-regional connection of countries in the Eastern Caribbean. Glenn Bart of SKN Newsline reports.
The inaugural service was done using the French-made 48-seater ATR 42-500 series aircraft that was greeted with its traditional inaugural water salute by the airport-based fire and rescue services. Regarding the launch ceremony, tourism authorities posted on social media, quote, "The ceremony honors the newly established partnership between Inter-Caribbean and St. Kitts, which will tremendously assist with making the destination more accessible than ever before. This new offering is set to increase the number of regional travelers to the Federation, which will positively impact the destination's summer fun activities, namely the St. Kitts Music Festival, Nevis Mango Festival, Restaurant Week, Culturama, CPL T20, and the newly introduced Kittian Rum Master Program, end quote. Inter-Caribbean Airways will service St. Kitts from Barbados 3 times weekly on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, with one-stop connectivity to Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Dominica, and Guyana. The 23-strong Inter-Caribbean fleet flies to 27 Caribbean destinations across 16 countries. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
Andre Huey of SKN Newsline was nominated and elected to the executive governing the Association of Caribbean Media Workers when the organization held its 11th biennial General Assembly in Georgetown, Guyana on 12th March 2023. Glenn Bart again of SKN Newsline reports.
The new executive comprises Harvey Panker of Suriname as president, Nazima Ragubert of Guyana, first vice president, Milton Walker of Jamaica, second vice president, Dennis Chabrol of Guyana, general secretary, Soini Gray of Trinidad and Tobago, assistant general secretary, Miriam Malmin of Martinique, and Andre Huey of St. Kitts and Nevis were elected floor members. Speaking with SKN Newsline, Mr. Huey said he looks forward to serving the wider Caribbean media in his new capacity.
Let me use this opportunity to thank all the members of the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, the ACM, who would have nominated me and had me elected as a floor member of the executive of the ACM. I'm elated to have had this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to serving the wider media fraternity in the Caribbean through the ACM, through my membership as an executive member. I also expect that this election will also facilitate an even better relationship and access to the ACM on behalf of the Media Association of St. Kitts and Nevis, and that the association here and or members will also benefit from this position that I hold on the executive of the ACM. So again, thanks to everyone who had a role to play in this, and I look forward to serving the ACM and its members in the 2023-2025 term of this executive. I also want to use the opportunity to congratulate all the other members of the executive who have been elected, and especially to Mr. Harvey Panker, who will be serving as the president. I know Mr. Harvey quite well. We go way back. We've been on several workshops and trainings before across the Caribbean. In fact, just recently we were at a training in Barbados. And so I'm very happy to have the opportunity to serve with him and the rest of the executive, and I'm looking forward to a really fruitful partnership and working relationship with all the members of the executive.
According to a post-election comment, the new ACM executive, under the leadership of Harvey Panker, will continue to address issues of press freedom and the professional development of the media, as well as further enhance the association's relationship with international freedom of expression organizations. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The Bahamas is very much in attendance at a North Caribbean Security Summit. ZNS News has a little bit of details.
National Security Minister, the Honorable Wayne Munro, and Labor and Immigration Minister, the Honorable Keith Bell, recently led a senior law enforcement delegation comprising the Police Commissioner, Defense Force Commodore, and the National Crime Intelligence Agency Director to the Northern Caribbean Security Summit in Doral, Florida. U.S. Charge d'Affaires Yusha Pitts hosted the high-level meetings under the theme Modernizing Strategic Partnerships from Florida to Haiti. During the three-day session, the delegation discussed illegal firearms fueling violence in the region, human smuggling networks, and transnational organizations. The group also visited the Chrome Detention Center operated by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, responsible for upholding U.S. immigration law at, within, and beyond the U.S. borders. The Bahamas is expected to host the summit in 2024.
The Director of Public Prosecutions in Trinidad and Tobago has confirmed to CNC3 News that he will be responding to the Prime Minister following statements made about him at a PNM public meeting. On Thursday, 9th March 2023, PM Dr. Keith Rowley told supporters that while Roger Gaspard SC requested assistance from the state, money spent on additional resources was wasted. Akash Samaru has the story, including a brief from the United National Congress that the Prime Minister is trying to frustrate DPP Gaspard out of the office.
I don't want to use the words I want to use because that will tell you too much.
But even if he did exercise restraint, Dr. Keith Rowley still revealed plenty about failed efforts to assist the DPP.
Because he too has complaints that things aren't going well.
The Prime Minister last evening said Roger Gaspard had asked for more office space for his lawyers and the government found a location. However,
after 3 years of finding executive office for the DPP, not a footstep inside the office, and we paid millions of dollars in rent.
Apart from the rent, Dr. Rowley said money was also spent outfitting the building.
The one bulletproof glass. Months passing, they put bulletproof glass on the building. I thought you're running a bit. They want a wall. A wall outside the bulletproof glass.
CNC3 News reached out to the DPP for a comment, and he said a response is called for, and right now he's seeking advice from people wiser than him. He did not elaborate. But the United National Congress believes the Prime Minister's focus on Gaspard at the PNM meeting had nothing to do with the building, but rather they're accusing the Prime Minister of being bitter with Gaspard following the discontinuation of one of the corruption cases relating to the Piarco Airport project.
Is he trying to frustrate Gaspard, Roger Gaspard, into leaving the office of the DPP?
The opposition UNC said it strongly condemns the conduct of the Prime Minister as the party believes Dr. Rowley is trying to undermine the independence of Gaspard's office. Akash Samaru, CNC3 News.
Venezuelan migrants stopped by U.S. authorities from entering the U.S. from Mexico.
U.S. officials stopped hundreds of mostly Venezuelan migrants entering the country from Mexico after a large group broke through Mexican lines to demand asylum in the U.S., only to be thwarted by barbed wires, barriers, and shields. Frustrated with problems securing appointments to seek asylum, using a new U.S. government app, the migrants gathered at the frontier of the Mexican border city, but could not bridge the crossing connecting the two countries. Many of the migrants had small children with them. After some pushing and shoving with the officials, the crowd of migrants eventually withdrew, with some heading down the banks of Rio Grande, where they were monitored by U.S. immigration officials. Many migrants have become fed up of the asylum process since the Biden administration made an app called CBP One available to them that was meant to streamline applications.
A former journalist in St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been sentenced to a lifetime in prison for murder and attempted murder.
A High Court judge sentenced a former journalist to life imprisonment after he was found guilty of the 2017 murder of a banker. Justice Brian Cotell imposed a sentence on Junior Jarvis, 50, for the February 14, 2017 murder of banker Randy Lawrence, 39. The judge noted that in the absence of a parole law in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Jarvis will have to spend the rest of his life in jail. But he said that convicted people must maintain their humanity and ordered that Jarvis be brought back to court after 30 years to assess whether he is sufficiently rehabilitated to be released. On November 28th last year, a jury found Jarvis guilty of murder on 7 other counts, including 1 count each of attempted murder on Arisha Pompey, his then-girlfriend, and Josette Smith, her cousin. The court heard that early on Valentine's Day, Jarvis shot and killed Lawrence. A post-mortem later showed that he received 3 gunshots, including 2 from behind. Jarvis then left the scene after the shooting and went to the apartment where Pompey and Smith lived. The judge said that Jarvis had suspected that Pompey was having an affair with Lawrence and had confronted him both in person and via social media, but was rebuffed and ridiculed.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at HubbardsHardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.